Hi guys, welcome to the Glass Enclosed Nerve Center, and thanks for joining us every month. I'm Megan Cloherty here for Ask the Governor with Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe. We're going to head right in. The show has just started.
Using the hashtag AskThe on Twitter, you can post a question on our live blog. It is underway, up and running at WTOP.com. And again this morning, we are live, Facebook Live. You can watch the show on Facebook if you like us on Facebook.
And we'd also like to welcome our C4's Julie Carey in the studio. We'll be here to ask some questions as well. Happy to be here. Welcome.
Just back from Toronto, we had Governor Hogan, myself, Mayor Bowser up in Toronto for a capital region tourism and trade, and I just left Mayor Bowser. We just did a big thing out at the new MGM studio or casino out there. We're joined by Ben Cardin, talked about the region. A lot of unity. Capital region, the greatest. Oh, and I should tell you, Time Magazine just announced the top millennial cities in America.
Oh.
Guess who had number 1 and 2?
Tell us.
Number 1, Norfolk, Virginia.
Wow.
Number 2, Richmond, Virginia. So
Wow.
2 of the top 10. Go
right.
Virginia.
Wow.
Boom.
All right.
Virginia is for lovers.
Okay.
And millennials, apparently.
And millennial lovers. Eat our oysters, drink our wine. Come on, you get it.
All right, Governor, we have a lot to talk about
Yes,
with
we
you
do.
this morning. Let's jump in on health care. There's been so much discussion, of course, on that in recent weeks. With the debate here in Washington spinning in familiar circles, Graham Cassidy now dead. There's a lot of health care issues to discuss in Virginia as well. For those paying for coverage through Virginia's individual marketplace, things are not looking so great. Many could see their options reduced to just one insurer, Governor. As you know, premiums are rising dramatically in Virginia in the coming year, up an average of 57%. It doesn't seem to matter whether you are in favor of Obamacare or any other type of coverage. The cost increase is going to be dramatic, and it is going to be difficult. What is the reason behind it, and what's going to happen in Virginia?
Boy, a lot of issues here. So one, thank goodness Graham Cassidy is gone. That would have been devastating in Virginia. I would have lost $13.2 billion, which was available to me in Virginia. And they said, oh, we'll give you $3 billion. Well, I don't know how Senator Cassidy does his math, but that's not good for Virginia. But that's now gone. But we do, Mark, have a big issue coming up. Saturday, the CHIP program ends. And if Congress does not fund it, this is the funding for children to provide them health care. That deadline is Saturday. And if they do not continue that funding, 100,000 children in Virginia will lose their health care. That's a big issue, something right in front of me today. But the other big issue I'm dealing with is the Trump administration is now trying to starve the ACA program, causing such instability in the market. That is why you're going to see premiums go up. The cost sharing, they're not agreeing to keep that going. We need the cost sharing. Important for us as a state to keep our premiums low and to keep everybody covered. So this is very disconcerting for us. I just went through a very tough time last month. Anthem pulled out of Virginia, as you know, and then Optima pulled out. And because of that, 58 counties in Virginia would have had bare counties with no coverage, would have cost 62,000 Virginians their health coverage. That plan would have expired at the end of the year. I called Joe Swedish, the CEO out in Colorado of Anthem, as my 2 great senators, Mark Warner and Tim Kaine, and the delegation. And I just want to thank Anthem because they agreed to come back in after they'd pulled out. I think, as Joe told me, he did not realize that Optima would pull out and would have left us with these empty counties. So I want to say this to Anthem. I want to thank them because they have now come back in. We will no longer have any bare counties. But the bigger issue, Mark, is they've cut the number of assisters by 90%. These are the people that help people sign up. What they're trying to do is they can't get it done legislatively, so now they're trying to do executive authority and backdoor, taking away money and really crippling the healthcare program in America today to the point that you are going to see premiums up. There is nobody to blame but Donald Trump and the Republicans in Congress who are trying to disassemble it. They can't do it legislatively, so they're trying to do it through a backdoor. And the instability in the market is what's causing these premiums to go up.
I want to talk to you about that because you have accused the administration of what you've said is a deliberate and overt effort to sabotage a standing federal law.
That's right.
You're talking about the Affordable Care Act. We'll get into that more right after traffic and weather as we continue with Governor Terry McAuliffe.
Weather on the 8s and when it breaks.
Right now, if you're in Maryland.
Food is happening out there.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us again. We are visiting the WTOP sports department. And I don't know why I just went British. And Jay Brooks. Hi, Jay Brooks.
How you doing, Megan?
Good.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Grab that mic for me. Tell me what's going on in sports today.
Got a lot going on. The first day after Bryce Harper's return from the 41-game absence due to the knee injury. Went 0 for 2, had a walk. Got to see how he feels today. It's always the day after coming back. He's got 5 games, including tonight in Philadelphia, to test it out before the playoffs start next Friday against probably the Cubs, as we find out that the Dodgers have clinched the best record in the National League. So it looks like it's going to be the Cubs and the Nats next Friday at Nats Park.
So exciting.
Yes.
And our boss is already wearing his playoffs hat. So
why
everybody's
not?
getting excited.
Get the Curly W ready already. Also, Kara Lawson named the new analyst for CSN Mid-Atlantic's Wizards game, along with Steve Buckhands.
Okay.
Phil Chenier will be back in a secondary role, so that's good that he's back in the picture. But congratulations to Washington area native Kara Lawson. That is awesome news. And Kirk Cousins named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week for his win against the Raiders on Sunday Night Football. The 3 touchdowns kind of cinched it. It's his 4th honor of his career. So that's what's going on in a nutshell so far in the sports department and for today on WTOP.
And it's good that when we printed that out for you, the anchors didn't read that.
Not at all. You always write it different, so it always surprises the audience and the anchors.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Anytime, Megan.
I think they're back on soon. As you know, we have our bobblehead, our steamed.
That's everybody comes to see them and not the sports guys.
It's funny. They give tours throughout the station, and that's what everybody wants to see. All right, looks like we're back on the air. Let's head back in.
Ask the Governor on WTOP. We'll be getting to more of your phone calls here with Governor Terry McAuliffe at 877-336-1035. That's the number to call to reach us here at 877-336-1035. Hashtag #AskThe, or you can join the live at WTOP.com. You can also join us on Facebook Live if you like us on Facebook. Governor, we continue our discussion about the changes, the dramatic changes that are coming to health care in Virginia and the dramatic rise in premiums that we were discussing, as much as 57%, if not more, for some folks who will be paying premiums in the coming year. And you have expressed some frustrations toward the Trump administration about their approach to the Affordable Care Act and adding some instability to an already difficult individual healthcare market. Express to us what your biggest frustration is and why they are complicating an already difficult situation here. What are they doing, and what would you like Congress to do to help fix it?
Well, I think they were trying to make some progress. They had a couple bills they were working on. The whole issue is the cost sharing reimbursements that we have, the CSR, which will basically is the only way that many of these companies can actually go in and take care of those most in need, those with the biggest health problems. That's how they were able to do it.
These are the subsidies.
Yeah, the subsidies they give out and the cost sharing. And the other issue is with that is on the individual mandate. You need healthy people to come into the system, Mark. So all the young people today, if none of the healthy people are, how insurance work is you spread the risk out. You need more healthy people into the system. And the president and his team have directly basically poo-pooed that. So the healthy people won't come in the system, and then you will be left with the most expensive individuals who need the most health care costs. I've talked directly to the president about this. When I was with him at the commissioning of the Gerald R. Ford, I said, Mr. President, you ran for office promising all of us that everybody gets coverage, if you remember. It would be cheaper and better results. Those are the president's words. Since he's been in office, he's done none of that. The actions that he has taken with the Congress, the Republicans in Congress, would reduce coverage for millions of Americans. It's not better, and it's not cheaper, and it's going up. So and listen, this last thing they did was just because he bullied them because, he promised this, that he would get rid of, the first thing he did was get rid of Obamacare. Well, he can't get rid of it, and now it's here to stay.
Is there any effort by the governors? Last time we talked, there was a bipartisan group of governors working on health care. Is there any progress there?
Well, we did the same thing. We went out with a bipartisan letter half Republicans, half Democrats, wrote a letter to Mitch McConnell and everybody up there. So I tell you, the governors are pretty much unified on this issue. This would be devastating for our respective economies. And if you look at, who signed the letter, very prominent Republicans signed the letter with, many of us Democrats. So this has been bipartisan. Here's the point. Okay, you've tried, you've failed. It's over. Now let us come together, work in a bipartisan way. And Patty Murray and Senator Murray and Senator Alexander are actually working on a program for the subsidies to give it a couple years. We need something in the market today. Congress needs to send a signal to the insurance companies that we're going to fund these. This is how we're going to go forward. We need stability back in the market. I remind everybody who's listening, if your premiums in Virginia go up 40, 50, 60%, you can call your members of Congress, you can call the White House, and you have them to blame. Blame the Republicans in Congress and President Trump because they've created this.
Well, we're hearing that Republicans are not giving up their efforts to repeal Obamacare. Some lawmakers reportedly vowing to vote against the next budget resolution if health care isn't in the mix. And there are concerns about what this may mean for other major pieces of legislation on Capitol Hill, such as tax reform as well. Once again, the prospect of putting the federal budget in jeopardy causes ripples in Virginia. I know that's got to keep you up late at night.
Well, it does, because they're going to do a continuing resolution for fiscal year 18, which means that sequestration remains the law of the land. Sequestration is devastating for our military. Sequestration is $100 billion of cuts on both sides, for both sides. That's devastating for a state where, all the aircraft carriers are built in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I've been working very closely with my congressional delegation. I spoke to Rob Whitman the other day, one of our members. Hopefully in the House bill and the Defense Reauthorization Act, the good news is they have a new aircraft carrier in it and allowing them to proceed to buy parts for 2 more. And we have 13 new subs, Virginia-class subs, that are in the defense reauthorization. The Senate, I think, will do the same thing. So luckily, we'll have hopefully some good news on the defense spending as it relates to Virginia will come out, but other parts of defense are going to get hurt very badly. The bottom line, Mark, Congress has got to start doing something. I mean, they have failed on infrastructure. They've failed on health care. We'll see what happens on tax reform. But what they're talking about tax reform today, they're going to get rid of the state and local deduction. Can you imagine that? This has been around since 1913. This has been here for more than 100 years. So it stops the double taxation for individuals. But for many cities and states, infrastructure, housing, they couldn't survive. But what we're told, they are going to propose eliminating the state and local tax deduction, which will be crippling for many of the cities across this country.
We've got lots more to talk about. Metro, toll roads, Amazon headquarters perhaps coming to Virginia. Lots of stuff ahead. We're going to get to all of that right after traffic and weather.
Good.
Need a new roof? Take 1,074 at longroofing.com.
Traffic and weather on the 8s and when it breaks.
All right, guys, now we're headed to our WTOP business reporter. You hear him at 25 and 55 every day. And he just loves this. He likes being on camera. He's told me that before. He he really looks forward to this. Hi, Jeff Clayball.
Hi.
How are you?
I am great.
What's going on in money today?
Well, let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
First thing we should do is see what's happening to the markets, right? Not much. The Dow's up 26 points. The Nasdaq's having a nice run, though, up about 0.5%. So tech stocks have taken a couple of hits in the last few days, so a little tech stock recovery.
Okay.
Cabela's and Pro Bass Shops have completed their merger, which is a big deal if you're a fisherman or a hunter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's there aren't many around here. I think there's a Cabela's that just opened in Gainesville this spring. There's a Pro Bass Shop up at Arundel Mills. But those are the only
I've
ones.
been to that Pro Bass Shop.
Oh my gosh, those stores are great, aren't they? Here's a couple of, this is a fun story. Alexandria Tourism, it's called Visit Alexandria, has just launched these virtual reality tours you can take of Old Town. Put on the VR headset and you can...
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, you can walk around Old Town. You can bike on the Mount Vernon bike trail. All this stuff.
That's neat.
It's all VR stuff. And then a little later this morning, we're going to talk to the new owner of Stromboli, which is a restaurant in Bethesda. If you're from Bethesda, you know this restaurant.
It's a family-owned restaurant.
It is. It was.
It was.
For more than 50 years. I think opened in 1965, 52 years. Wow. And the owner has just sold it to the company that owns the restaurant next door. And it may be, I bet you I can show you this. May not be the most likely company to buy it, but it's Moby Dick Kebab. Moby Dick House of Kebabs has bought Stromboli, but the new owner plans no changes to the family-owned restaurant. We're going to talk to him a little later this morning.
That's interesting. Proximity always helps.
It does. Right next door. Knock down a wall and you're in business, right?
All right, Jeff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. I have to show you guys this. For some reason, and I don't know why, but we have barbecue from...
No, it's not barbecue.
What is it?
It's just Cooper's Hawk restaurant, which just opened in Reston, Virginia.
Cooper's Hawk restaurant in Reston, Virginia. Look how good this looks. I'm sorry I said it's barbecue. It's not barbecue. Woo! Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, talk about lucky, man. All right, we're going to head back in. Metro is up next, and that's always an interesting topic.
It's not allowed. And you know those guys in the thing? They're from El Salvador in a prison. And they're not even MS-13. I mean, are you kidding me?
Back on WTOP with Governor Terry McAuliffe. This is the September edition of Ask the Governor. Your phone calls coming at 877-336-1035. That's 877-336-1035. You can tweet us your question using the hashtag AskThe. The live blog is underway. Follow along on Ask the Governor at WTOP.com. And you can also follow us on Facebook as we are live once again on Facebook Live.
And we are going to turn to the suitors who were courting Amazon to land its lucrative second headquarters that would employ 50,000 people in Virginia if that was chosen. Proposals are due October 19th. NBC4's Julie Carey joining us in the studio. We're going to talk more about that with the governor.
Yeah, and Governor, you think Virginia has a good shot at landing this, but we've got several regions that are competing for it right now. I mean, first of all, why do you think Virginia is a good competitor? And it's right up against Maryland once again. We hear a lot more from that side of the river about the plans they have in place. But why do you think Virginia is going to be a good competitor for this?
Well, first of all, we don't do our plans in public. We are very quiet when we are negotiating our deals with our businesses. That is why we have brought in 1,026 new projects, $16.6 billion of new capital to the Commonwealth of Virginia. So we do it very smartly. We are stealth-like, quiet, and we go in and do what we need to do. But listen, when I talk about Amazon, first of all, this is a capital region project. This is as important. Wherever it goes, it benefits D.C., Maryland, Virginia. So this is such a large project. So, my guesstimate is we're going to, in Virginia, have probably 3, 4, 5 locations bid. The original RFP said they wanted 1 million people. They wanted a metro or mass transit, and they wanted an international airport. Well, clearly, if you look at that, Northern Virginia and, the Loudoun area and Fairfax area, Prince William area, that perfectly suits that. But we actually, because then I had Virginia Beach, which was also mentioned at the top for being the best millennial city in America. But the mayor reached out to me, Will Sessoms, and LeVar Stoney, the mayor of Richmond, reached out to me. So I checked with Amazon and said, here's your RFP. They don't have the mass transit, but they have other assets. And they said, please have them bid. So it's not exactly as the RFP would say, but we got till the 19th. So I believe for sure we're going to have 4 or 5 locations bid. What do they want? They want a dynamic, booming area, great place to live. We have the best education system in the country. We have an international airport. We have direct flights to Seattle out of Virginia Dulles International Airport every single day. We've got the mass transit. We got the Silver Line. But you want to look at Virginia Beach, Julie? We have the deepest port on the East Coast. They move their products. You can get to 66% of America, one-day drive from our port. As I say, you just saw that report. Richmond, the second best millennial city behind Virginia Beach in the Norfolk area. So I think we've got a great shot. Let me be clear. Everybody, every governor, every mayor in America believes they're going to get it. I mean, let's be clear. This is a game changer.
You've got a consultant, though, helping Hampton Roads, Northern Virginia, Richmond to develop their pitches to Amazon. Any sense which region might have the strongest proposal?
Well, it's interesting, Deb, because what their RFP said, you clearly would have thought. But we had a direct conversation because, and listen, I talked to the mayors, I talked to Mayor Sessoms and Mayor Stoney. I don't want our cities putting up money if they have no chance at it. Mm-hmm. But I was specifically told, please have them bid. So I think, but they also included provinces in the RFP. That's why Toronto, where I was yesterday, is a top contender for it. But they've got West Coast operations. I got to bet they need the East Coast operation. That's why I think time zone works for us. Great opportunity, great access. They have a lot of data. Where the other day, the Maria, the brand new cable that just came in from Bilbao, Spain, that will feed Spain, the Middle East, and Africa, where did that cable, the brand new state-of-the-art, best fiber optic cable ever laid in the Atlantic Ocean, where did that come and land? Virginia Beach. We just connected it the other day. That's data. That's very important to Amazon. We have more data centers than any state in America. 70%, Julie, listen to this, of the world's internet traffic goes to where? Virginia, Ashburn, Virginia. We've got the most cyber companies of any state in America. We now have all the data centers. We've got the new UAVs. I just did a little test thing that we did with Amazon where we delivered Chipotle food to Virginia Tech with our drones. So, we got all those assets. I mean, if I'm Jeff Bezos, I'm thinking, goodness gracious, I got to go to Virginia.
Any worry, though, this intense competition between Maryland and Virginia will knock both out?
No. And listen, I talked to the mayor today about it. They're going to have the DC's probably going to have 2 locations, I bet, and I'm sure Maryland will. We collectively are a great region, and we are going to promote it collectively as the capital region. Do I want them headquartered in Virginia? Does Muriel want them and Larry want them? Of course. But whatever happens, I think our region, which we will promote. I mean, listen, the 3 of us just went to Toronto. I don't know any other group of states that has ever gone on a trade mission like we did yesterday. We work together as a capital region.
Are you? Does this require a significant offering, a package of incentives to lure a prize the size of Amazon?
So here's what I think where their process is. I think, Mark, by the end of the year, we have been told they will get probably down to 10 to 15 cities by December 31st. Then they will make that decision, I believe, probably in the first quarter after that. So as it relates to packages and all that, none of that will be discussed till you even find out. I think Amazon's first look is, here's what we're looking at, what city fits our criteria. Then those cities, then we will get into, yeah, sure, let me tell you, 50,000 jobs, it's going to be a very healthy incentive package. You bet.
Well, you've talked a lot in this first half hour about working together and the regional approach. There's been a lot of discussion about that with respect to Metro, and we want to transition to that, and we'll have to break here for traffic in just a bit. But I want to ask, at least to set this up, where things stand, because since we last visited with you, there's been a lot of public discussion between you and Governor Hogan about the future of Metro, and we're trying to figure out what it all means and where things stand, and if some of the proposals we've heard about floating around are actually legitimate, and if Virginia is poised to act on those. And we'll get you to answer those questions right after we come back from traffic and weather. Stay with us.
So we have this big meeting with all 3 of us.
What a tease that was. We're heading in now to see Rita Kessler. She's doing traffic in the WTOP Traffic Center, which is right next to the studio. So we don't have very much travel time here.
Burroughs toward East Capitol Street. Northbound South Capitol Street at I Street, the right lane is blocked with the crash. And inbound on the Roosevelt Bridge, Virginia side of the bridge, at the beginning of the bridge, it is the left side of the roadway that's blocked with the broken down tractor trailer. In response, take the right to get by in Maryland to southbound 27 Ridge Road after I-70 near Mill Bottom Road. The crash along the right side, and northbound 124 Quince Orchard Road at Twin Lakes Drive. You're under police direction. direction for the crash. Navy football offers the best game day atmosphere in college football. Come support your midshipmen, the defending AAC West Division champs. NavyGameDay.com for tickets. I'm Rita Kessler, WTOP Traffic.
And now we go to the coolest girl with the coolest hair.
Hi.
Hi, Rita.
You like my fall hair?
Oh, Mary. I mean, Mary. This is Mary DePompa, Rita Kessler. Hi, guys. What's going on in traffic today? We kind of just heard the end of your report, but...
Well, it's definitely died down from the rush hour, but I mean, we do have some problems in the district. Nothing major, though, like nothing that's causing massive delays, so...
Good.
That's not... Yeah. Everybody's listening to the governor, and so nobody's in traffic.
Oh, that's how that works. Okay. We're going to pop back in, but that's good, because she has the map and everything above. Obviously, we have people calling in to help us out. These guys have their eyes and ears everywhere. Thank you. All right. If you guys saw the mics turned back on inside the studio, you can see it is glass enclosed. Except we just put that little shade down over there, so makes it easier for me to shoot. Let's give you a quick tour of the newsroom. Sports department. This is where most of our reporters sit when they're here. The governor's team. We've got our... I promise this doesn't happen every time. The catered food. And then there's Judy Taub with the editor's desk in blue. Hi, Judy Taub with the editor's desk. And there's Latisse and Brian Drew. All right, we're going to head back in and see what we see. Hi, Governor.
How are you?
We're back. We're live. We missed you.
Yeah.
Number 2 is about Metro.
When Tysons are the highlight of the season. Lease the 2017 Forester 2.5 CVT for $199 per month for 36 months. Or lease the 2017 Outback Touring 3.6 for $299 a month for 36 months. Both require $19.99 in first month's payment due at signing, plus taxes, tags, acquisition, and $6.99 processing fee with approved credit up to 10,000 miles per year. Don't miss these fall lease specials this month only at Stolman Subaru in Tysons on Leesburg Pike and at StolmanSubaru.com.
Welcome back to Ask the Governor on WTOP. Let me give you that phone number once again. It's 877-336-1035 if you have a question for Governor Terry McAuliffe, 877-336-1035. You can tweet us using the hashtag AskThe if you have a question for the governor, or you can pose a question at our live blog. It continues now at WTOP.com. Governor, since our last show, we know that Governor Larry Hogan has issued a proposal to raise $2 billion additional dollars for Metro over a 4-year period, with equal contributions coming from Virginia, Maryland, D.C., and the federal government. Not mentioned, though, in that proposal was any dedicated funding, any tax or other revenue source for Metro. Want to get your take on this? I know you have responded to the governor's proposal. Is this a good idea, bad idea? Where do things stand in terms of all of the major players coming together with one voice? I know you have this report coming out from Ray LaHood that's studying Metro. What's your view on the governor's idea here?
Well, I think we are making progress. I was encouraged to see Governor Hogan because originally it had been reported Maryland was not going to participate at all, which would have been devastating to the Metro system. I'm glad he's made a proposal. He's made his contingent on more federal government money. I'm going to move forward. I can't be contingent on the federal government. Who knows if they're ever going to do anything. We need to fix this system. I think we have really made tremendous progress. The LaHood briefed the three of us, Governor Hogan and Mayor Bowser, made a couple recommendations. Number one, to have sort of a reform board, which I support wholeheartedly. I believe Mayor Bowser does as well. Right now, the board is 16 people. It's very parochial. It's very political, and nothing gets done. No offense, they're all good people. This is not about them as individuals. It's just the way this is set up. We need 5 people. You know, we can each pick one, Maryland, Virginia, and D.C., and the federal government, and then they can pick a chair. Let's just get real transit people in to get this system doing what we need to do. So I support Ray LaHood on this. I think Governor Hogan's looking at it. He didn't know if he had the legal authority. Hopefully he will get on board with us on this, because this is very important for us. It's very important for me, for my legislature, to know that we have good governance. I've said before, any issue of funding, don't come talk to us about funding until we have governance. I agree with Secretary LaHood. This is a good first step. And the report did come out. Labor costs are not out of line. Remember, Mark, that was a lot of stuff that had been out in the ether. Not out of line. Maybe too much bus service in certain areas. So they continue to add capacity. At the same time, ridership has fallen over the last 10 years. We've lost $100 million of revenue just by lost ridership. So need to be a better aligning on the services we offer. And maybe in certain areas there's too much bus service, and we just got to cut back certain areas. And we got to look at some of the pension issues there. But all in all, great report. I am now comfortable with the governance. I want to see this reform board in place. But I will present my budget in December for the next General Assembly session, and I will have funding in it. I'm going to do my part. Virginia needs to step up. We are going to step up.
Is that funding this short-term funding proposal?
I'm for dedicated funding going forward.
For dedicated funding?
Yeah, I'm not for short. I mean, short-term doesn't do us any good, Mark. And the other problem we had is, this system came in 1976. In 2006 is when they needed to replace. They didn't do any of this, and I will blame the board for that. They did nothing on the replacement. Now this system, parts of it have crumbled because they waited too long. We're 11 years later to address what should have been done on the 30-year lifespan of that system, and they didn't do it. So that's behind us.
So if you and Mayor Bowser are for dedicated funding and Governor Hogan is only looking at a short-term fix, we're still at an impasse.
And we'll continue to work together. All I can tell you, the Commonwealth of Virginia, I will put in my budget a plan to deal with the Metro funding.
Is there time to build consensus for that, though, before
you
leave
there
office?
Is, yeah. And listen, let's be very clear. We just talked about Amazon. One huge asset for Amazon is our metro system. So those that want to sit out there and throw rocks into this thing understand you are hurting our ability to recruit one of the biggest businesses in the globe. So this all works together, and the quicker we get this resolved, the better off we're going to be. I leave office in January. I know Mayor Bowser is up for election. Governor Hogan is up for election. Who knows? None of the three of us could even be around a year from now. We need to address this issue now for Metro going forward. Paul Wiedefeld, who's been doing it, we all agree he's doing a great job. We just need to move forward. But we've had a lot of significant progress, Mark. I mean, the report will come out. You'll be able to all read it. It got a lot of the fake news out of the way there, and I'm going to put funding in, and we'll continue to talk to Governor Hogan. But this can't be contingent. I want more money out of the federal government. We've got to, PREA has to come back again. We've got to reauthorize that funding. But does the federal government need to put more money in? Yes. I am very concerned about the Trump administration. He's cutting $90 billion to the National Transportation Highway Fund. I mean, so we have to do what is in our best interest. And this is a great system. We always talk about the capital region as the greatest region in the world, which I believe it is. Let's start acting like it.
And Governor, what form does your dedicated funding take when you make that proposal to the money committees in December?
I want you to sit in that front row when I come out. And listen, I'm putting a whole budget together now. Of what I'm putting together and the things I need to do. I mean, I'm dealing with some big challenges. I have to do re-benchmarking in my SOQs. I have to deal with the existing Medicaid program, billions of dollars of additional funding that we're dealing with. But I will roll out that budget. I'm going through that process. I've already had some initial meetings that we've gone through, and I'm not going to relay any part of my budget till I put the whole package out together, because it's all duly intertwined. But as I've said, I will have dedicated funding in the Virginia budget going forward, as I promised.
You're not going to tell us, are you?
Not today, I'm not. We're still in September. I mean, we got a lot of negotiating to do. And listen, the good news, this is why I was angry and I wasn't happy about governance. Took too long to get a new GM in there, as you know. I didn't like a lot of people sort of squawking in the press, saying things they should not have said, because they made my job much more difficult to work with my General Assembly. And listen, we work together well in Virginia. It's very Republican legislature. I'm a Democrat, but we come together on big issues like economic development, transportation, education, $1 billion last year. This is one of those big issues, but let us in Virginia, let us do what we need to do, in D.C. and Maryland, respectively, deal with their own legislative chambers. But let us do our part. I don't need to hear from other people about what we need to be doing in Virginia from other jurisdictions.
All right, we'll be back right after traffic and weather. We've got lots to talk about. The Virginia governor's race, of course, roads and tolls, and new daycare regulations that are controversial.
Yep. Right back. I hope you're listening, Jack Evans.
All right, guys, we're going to try and find Max Smith, who's our Virginia correspondent and really knows, especially Metro inside and out. Max, aren't you excited to be on Facebook Live?
Oh, of course.
I know you love it. What do you think has been is any news broken today, or the biggest thing that he's talked about so far?
So what you just heard is Governor McAuliffe promising that he will include some type of dedicated funding for Metro in his state budget proposal in December. That's his big thing he is unveiling today. Now, he won't say how, why, where, how much, which is not necessarily surprising because we're several months away from this budget proposal. Of course, the thing to remember is he's leaving office, so under Virginia's weird system of budgeting, the outgoing governor proposes a 2-year budget, but it's really up to the General Assembly, whoever is elected in November, and the new governor that's elected in November to then kind of work it through the General Assembly session. So while Governor McAuliffe will propose it, that doesn't necessarily mean he'll be there to push it all the way through.
Which is why Julie's question was so important, because if you don't have funding from Maryland that's long-term, I mean, how, it's like, what's the consensus?
That sort of depends. Governor Larry Hogan has proposed in Maryland a shorter-term temporary fix, but that sort of depends on, he says, the federal government's contributing more. Not clear the federal government has any interest in doing that, but if Virginia came up with some sort of dedicated tax system, that would at least relieve the pressure on some of the local governments who are required to pay most of the bill in Virginia, unlike Maryland, where the state pays the bill.
Awesome. All right. I think we're headed back in. Thank you, Max. All right. Just taking on a little tour again. Craig, thanks for joining us. I might go in and ask your question if we have enough time to do so.
Crazy.
Can I ask you a quick question that's on Facebook Live?
Yeah.
From Craig Lane. With all the development, expanding the tax base and increasing government revenues.
Governor on WTOP. We're about to head to the phones.
Next time, Craig. Next time.
877-336-1035. That's 877-336-1035. If you have a question for Governor Terry McAuliffe, you can also tweet a question using the hashtag #AskThe. If you go to our live blog at WTOP.com.
All right, let's take a couple of calls. Folks patient on the phone lines here at WTOP. We're going to go to John, who's calling in from Springfield. John, what is your question for Governor McAuliffe?
Yes. Good morning, Governor. Thanks for taking my call. I know in the past that VDOT had the authority to open the HOV lanes to all traffic when there was any kind of lengthy closure of the main lanes. Does VDOT still have that authority to open the Easy Pass Express lanes toll-free to all traffic if there's a closure?
Yeah, now we have a contract, obviously, with Transurban on those issues, but if there were we do have the authority, if there were some type of major event that all the lanes were closed, that we would have the authority to go to them and have them open the express lanes, yes.
All right, continuing with the phones, let's go to line 3. Nana is calling in from Loudoun County. Go ahead with your questions for the governor.
Thank you, Governor, for taking my call. I wanted to find out if Virginia has any plans of opening up a community outpatient clinic for veterans.
Okay. Community-based veteran clinics in the area. Is there any plan to set those up?
Oh, my goodness. Let's talk. Thank you. Good question. I view Virginia as the most veteran-friendly state in America. We're very proud. We have more veterans under the age of 25, more female veterans than any state in America. We have really leaned in on these issues. We're the first state to have functionally ended veteran homelessness in our state, certified by the Department of HUD. And listen, once you end veteran homelessness the next day, obviously you have to deal with that issue, but over 3,000 we've leaned in on. We are the only state. I was really sick and tired of the VA not being able to do their job. So we went, and I worked bipartisan way with Kirk Cox, who's the next speaker. We worked together. We are now building 2 healthcare facilities for our veterans, one down in Hampton Roads, down in Virginia Beach, and one up here in Northern Virginia, which the state is paying for because these folks need care, and if the VA can't do it, we're not going to leave those folks out there. I'm about to open my 30th Veteran Service Benefit Office, per capita more than any state in America. Last year, we helped so many of our vets get over $3 billion worth of benefits due them. So, we have leaned in very hard on our vets. We encourage when folks come out of active duty to stay in Virginia. We're the first state to do the workforce development, a Medicaid Corpsman bill that we did last year to move folks right into the workforce. My cyber vet program that we have. I just got an award from the Paralyzed Veterans Association for the new ramp that we have built in the governor's mansion so that everybody can come in on the first floor there. So we've leaned in on these veteran issues, and that's why we're building these 2 new healthcare facilities in Virginia, the first state to do it. Even though it is a federal responsibility, we at the state are going to do it because we love our veterans and we're going to provide for our veterans.
Governor, we want to chat with you briefly about the governor's race. Some of the recent polling data shows it's either a rather close contest or one in which the Democrats appear to have a slight edge going into the final weeks of the campaign. We're well past Labor Day now when voters are paying attention. You've watched a lot of these campaigns take shape. We clearly know you're supporting your lieutenant governor as your successor. But as you watch this campaign, what issues really is jumping out to you? What are you hearing from people? What are they discussing? If we listen to some of the national folks, they're watching this as a campaign, as a potential referendum on the president. But as the governor of the state, what is standing out to you?
Well, people in Virginia are happy today. I mean, we're almost at structurally full employment. We got it all the way from 5.4 all the way down to 3.7. I'm proud in the last 4 years, 216,000 new jobs created and a record $16.6 billion. People view Virginia now as going the right way. We put $1 billion into education, K through 12. If you come to kindergarten this year, the only state in America, we are now teaching you the core concepts of cybersecurity in kindergarten. We've redesigned all of our high schools. People are happy. Businesses are coming in. I just did a big jobs announcement with Amazon a couple weeks ago. We've got a huge Facebook. Google. They're all coming here to Virginia. I just did a Iron Mountain $350 million data center the other day in Prince William County. We're rocking here in Virginia. We can't stop it. And the one main reason, Mark, is that we're doing so well is that we are open and welcoming to everybody. This governor's race is critical. I vetoed 120 very socially divisive bills. If I were not in that chair as governor, these bills would be law today. Defunding Planned Parenthood. Now, if Ralph Northam is not there, these bills will become law. And I can tell you this as I'm sitting here today, they're going to put up defund Planned Parenthood as they did 4 years in a row for me. I can promise you this, Ed Gillespie has already said he'll sign it. Amazon will not come to the Commonwealth of Virginia. So the most important thing I will tell you is keep the momentum going, open and welcoming. But I have had to use executive authority, as you know, on LGBT rights issues. I have had to use executive authority to end these horrible trap regulations. I had to have a new Board of Health come in to stop this horrible trap legislation that we had. I have had to use executive authority on issues on guns, voting back voting rights. This is important. We cannot go back. Just look at North Carolina. HB2 cost them $3.6 billion. If Ralph Northam is not there to veto, this is not a scare tactic, Mark. These bills passed the legislature and came to my desk. We cannot allow it. And I know that the Gillespie campaign is running a very ad they ought to take down. They talk about sanctuary cities. Let me be clear for everybody listening. Virginia does not allow sanctuary cities. That ad is patently false. It is a lie. And in fact, the people they have in the ad, guess what? Those are folks from El Salvador in a prison that they have their picture up on that ad. And secondly, they're not even part of MS-13, the gang that they actually talk about. Folks want us to focus on continuing on education. Look what we've done on transportation, $10 billion of new projects. You live in Northern Virginia. If I would have told you 4 years ago, 14 miles, all the new addition we're doing of the new freight track to move the passenger rail, 18 miles of new express lanes. We got 66 south for the first time in 30 years, 10 new lanes being built. You would have thought it possible. We cannot go back. We cannot allow these socially divisive pieces of legislation to become law because it will cripple the new Virginia economy.
I want to ask you when we come back real quickly about the influence of President Trump and the issue of Confederate monuments on the Virginia governor's race right after traffic and weather.
Traffic and weather on the 8s and when it breaks.
Sheena Harvey on NBC4 Weather.
All right, I'm going to ask Craig's question if I can get untangled here, Governor. Okay.
Westbound on the freeway, let her know that we're not doing
Okay, sorry. With all the development expanding the tax base and increasing government revenues, why do we need to pay for new roads again via tolls? Is his question.
Well, first of all, you got to understand where the money comes for transportation funding. That is a totally separate pot of money. It was legislation that was passed in 2013. And to be honest with you, I'm going to have to go into the next budget cycle next January. We're $160 million down on our funding because they had put money in budgeted for the passage of the internet sales tax, which never occurred. So in reality, I'm dealing with some issues on transportation where funding is actually down. And you need that tolling capacity. And remember, everybody who's riding for free still rides for free. And inside the Beltway, it's only single drivers who can't go during HOV, during rush hour times. Now they can. That's it. Everybody else goes for free. You went free before, you're going free after. You don't have to pay any toll if you don't want at our new express lanes.
77 degrees at Dulles, 78 at BWI Marshall, and it's 80 degrees right now at the Reagan National. West as we up to near 90 today. Final minutes of Ask the Governor. Governor Terry McAuliffe alongside until 11 o'clock, taking your calls and questions. 877-336-1035. 877-336-1035. A couple of lines still open if you have a question for the governor. You can tweet us your question using the hashtag AskThe or pose a question on our live blog. It continues at WTOP.com.
Just to finish up the election and the race for governor, we keep reading that President Trump looms large as a factor in this election. As you travel the state as a governor and a campaigner, how big of a deal is the president in this race?
Well, I think he's about 35% approval rating in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I'm not sure we've ever gone into an election where the president's approval ratings were so low and disapproval so high. So, I mean, that exists out there. But in fairness, Deb, most people are focused on Virginia and what's going to move Virginia forward. As I mentioned, all the success we've had over the last 4 years. In fact, P3 magazine just came out this morning. The #1 project in America voted the best project was the 66 project, which we just announced. And I remind you, Deb, that was supposed to cost the taxpayers $1 billion to add those 10 new lanes. Guess what? Not a cent of taxpayer money is going to be used the way we negotiated, and they're writing us a check for $500 million on close. That's what people are interested in. Are we preserving, turbocharging taxpayer dollars, quality education? I mean, the president has done nothing but hurt Virginia today. The dysfunction on the budget has caused, as I mentioned before, on sequestration. The damage he has done to health care in Virginia. People are sweating. They are nervous. There's anxiety that they're going to lose their health care and their premiums are going to go up. This is all because of President Trump. His travel ban, his immigration policy. He is not helping us grow our economy here in Virginia.
Got to ask you about the Confederate monuments real quick because we also want to get to the daycare issue. But the city council in Fredericksburg, as you know, last night voted to leave a controversial slave auction block in place. How concerned are you about how this may affect voters in November? It seems to be a big issue of influence in the race.
Well, the law in Virginia is, before now, you as a city, just a city, not a county or not a town. People are confused about this. If you are a city and there's a monument there before 1997, you can take it down as a city. You can vote to do that unless there's something else in the code that specifically relates to a particular statute. But for that, you have the authority to do it. Not a county and not a town. That all comes back to the General Assembly. They make those decisions. As it relates to roads and namings of roads, the primary roads, the interstates, that all goes back to the General Assembly. On secondary roads, localities could have that decision. So, the localities who have the authority to do it, they are going to make that decision themselves. We, at the state level, it's at the General Assembly, and they've got to make their decisions. We just had an event the other day in Richmond where I have halted the permit process. And the main reason I did it, this was decades-old permit process. I don't know if you know the Lee statue. It's in the middle of a boulevard in downtown Richmond, right in the middle of the road, major road. That permit allowed 5,000 people to come and protest in that small area. You can't fit 5,000 people in there. So I said, no, stop that. Let's come back with new rules and regs as it relates to permitting that make common sense. My job, we got to keep our people safe and protect our property. That is a top issue for us. And the permits that we have today are antiquated. They need to be updated, and we're going to look at that. Common sense.
NBC4's Julie Carey.
Yeah, turning to a very local issue, but with a lot of potential consequence. The Fairfax County Board of Supervisors have a letter on the way to you right now about a change in the state daycare regulations that would require providers in the subsidy program to speak English. Now, they say that could cause big problems in Fairfax County. It could drive a lot of providers out of the program and leave a lot of low-income families in the lurch. They want you to either scrap the regulation or give Fairfax County a waiver. What's your reaction to that
federal regulation?
This is a state regulation.
Yeah.
This is the Virginia Department of Social Services that has promulgated this new regulation that requires people in this subsidy program that are providing care speak English. They want you to either get back to the board and say no or to give them a waiver. Which will you do?
Well, I haven't seen the letter yet. As I say, I got back late last night from Toronto, and I had the event this morning, so I'm heading back to Richmond right after this. I'll get the letter. I'll review it. First and foremost, Julie, as you know, we've leaned in hard on these daycare centers to protect them. As you know, I pushed legislation which got through the General Assembly. People need to be fingerprinted that work there. You have to have a state license now if it's 5 or more children there. So I've leaned in very hard on this issue because, we have had some tragedies. As you know, we had the fire 2 years ago. So we are leaning in hard. I haven't seen this particular issue. I am going to come down always on the side of safety, keeping these daycare centers safe. That is my number one concern. But in fairness, I'd like to read the letter first and get an understanding. And it's from Fairfax, you
And
said?
these are very small providers. These
Okay.
are people who have maybe as few as 4 children. These are the home daycare providers that are now going to be required.
I got to take a look at it. I mean, I understand the concept that, people speak in English. Obviously, if there's an emergency, they got to pick up the phone. They got to communicate that emergency. I understand the concern here. But I'll look at it, and I haven't seen it yet. I'd like to read what Fairfax County has sent me, and I'll do it today, and I'll be glad to get back to you.
Kevin, looking at questions submitted to our blog, and it's one that we see quite frequently, and I think perhaps it's been inspired once again by Governor Larry Hogan's proposal, a $9 billion project to add toll lanes in Maryland to the Beltway, to I-270, to the Baltimore-Washington Parkway. This question comes up frequently to the show, and it's about another, and you've heard this question before, it's about another Potomac River crossing into Maryland. Folks want to know, is there any money that can be added from Virginia to work with Maryland, perhaps money that can be recouped with tolls to try to come up with a solution for another Potomac River crossing, and perhaps have there been any more discussions with Maryland about this? Anything you can tell us on this issue?
Well, I'm encouraged by the governor coming out the other day to talk about doing some P3s. And as I say, we are the leader in Virginia on P3s. We've done $10 billion worth of them. That's how it works for us. I am very concerned about the American Legion Bridge. I have been since we started talking on this show. It's old. It's antiquated. It is the major thoroughfare between Maryland and Virginia. As I've said before, it is all in Maryland. I went around when they negotiated the treaty, but Maryland owns 100% of the Potomac River. However, this is an economic driver for Virginia. Even though it doesn't reside in our state, would we be willing to step up the plate to work with Maryland, to deal with this, to reconstruct it? Absolutely.
What does that mean?
Well, listen, I've always told you my dream, I would love to see the express lanes go the entire way around the entire Beltway. I'd love to see that. That would, if you ride for free today, you're still going to ride for free later. But people who want to pay and go in them, it gets you out of the free lanes, and that's a choice. But we clearly, because look what happens now. You come all the way up 95, you get on 495, you get past exit 193 there, and boom, it is a funnel every single day. So you go through beautiful Virginia, and as you approach Maryland, it is just gridlock, honestly. And it needs to be fixed, and I have said we will step up to the plate to partner with them to deal with the American Legion Bridge. If you want to build a new bridge, I put money into a study for a new bridge. We are all in. And here's the final thing I'll say on that. Our population, we're about almost 8.5 million people in Virginia today. We just got a study. In the next decade, Virginia will move to be 10 million people. We will be the 10th largest state in America. What are we going to do with 1.5 million more people on the existing infrastructure that we have today? We have pretty much done everything we promised in Northern Virginia on transportation. There isn't too much else to be built. But that issue is a number one concern, I think, for everybody in Northern Virginia and in Maryland as well.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. We'd also like to let our listeners know that we have a standing invitation to Maryland Governor Larry Hogan to appear on our Ask the Governor program since he took office, and so far he has yet to accept.
Why would you not want to sit with Mark and Deb? Enjoy. Look at this. I mean, like Nirvana.
Thanks for coming in.
We appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
We'll see you next month.
Fantastic. Right? And just, 320 wineries, just opened our 221st craft brewery in Virginia, 45 distilleries. I'm telling you, folks, Virginia's for lovers.
Cheers.
Governor Terry McAuliffe, thank you. That concludes another Ask the Governor on WTOP.
I ain't the dumbest thing.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Craig and Kim, thanks for your questions and comments. It's a little bit of a slower day on Facebook Live, but we really appreciate you guys tuning in. A lot of big questions and big issues coming up. And again, we're hoping we can get Maryland Governor Larry Hogan in here at some point. We hope that he can join us. Thanks again. We'll see you next month.